Hello there, in doctors. Welcome to my Asan network. I'm your Dr. Salahuddin, MBBS MS Orthopedics, and welcome to our fracture classification series. We are discussing the second bone of our fracture classification series, that is the humerus bone. So, we are going to discuss the humerus fracture classifications, and we are going to divide the humerus into three parts, that is the proximal humerus part. So we'll discuss the shaft fractures or the diaphyseal fractures and the distal humerus fracture classification. So let's start with our shaft fractures. The classification of the shaft fractures we have divided into descriptive classification, AO classification, the universal AO classification, the Garnaus classification system. These are the three classification systems used for the humerus shaft. So first we'll go for descriptive classification for the shaft. So descriptive classification, open or closed fracture. Then according to the location, whether it is proximal third, middle third or the distal third. Whether the displacement undisplaced or displaced fracture. According to the direction of the fracture line, whether it is a transverse, oblique, spiral or segmental fracture or a comminuted fracture. Then also to have the intrinsic condition of the bone, whether the bone is normal or it is an osteoporotic fracture or whether it is an pathological fracture. This is just a descriptive type of classification. So coming to AO classification system, as I have already told you, humerus is 1 for AO and shaft is 2. So 1, 2 is humerus shaft. So 1, 2 humerus shaft is divided again into A, B, C. The A is simple fracture, B is an wedge fracture and C is an multifragmentary fracture. So 12A, we will divide 12A again into three types, that is 12A1 spiral fracture, 12A2 oblique fracture where the fracture line is more than 30 degrees, more than or equal to 30 degrees, and 12A3 is a where the fracture line is less than 30 degrees, that is transverse fracture. Okay, so 12A3 is less than 30 degrees. This is 12A, simple fracture. 12B is wedge fracture. Here 12B1 is not present in AO classification. They have removed it in the recent AO classification. So 12B1 is not present, only 12B2 and 12B3 is present now. So 12B2 is a intact wedge. The wedge is intact. And if the wedge is fragmented, it is 12B3. So this is 12B2 and B3. Coming to 12C, that is multifragmentary fracture of the shaft. Here also they have removed the 12C1. There is no 12C1, only 12C2 and 12C3. 12C2 is intact segmental fracture and 12C3 is fragmentary segmental fracture. This is the AO classification. So coming to the clinical X-ray. So how do you classify this? You see whether the fracture line present, how the fracture line is. So the number, and also first you see the number of fragments. If there are many fragments, no, there is no fragment. So this is not a wedge or a segmental fracture. So it comes at 12A. This is not B, not C, 12A. In 12A, we have to see what type of fracture it is, whether it is A1, A2 or A3. So 12A1, whether the fracture line is spiral here, no, this is not spiral. Whether the fracture line is more than 30 degrees, no, the fracture line is not more than 30 degrees. Here the fracture line is less than 30 degrees. The fracture line is less than 30 degrees. So we classify it as transverse fracture. Okay, so the transverse fracture comes as 12A3. So AO, this is the fracture is 12A3. Okay, this is AO classification for shaft. Coming to Garnaus classification. Here the Garnaus has divided the shaft again into three parts. See, The fracture shaft is divided into proximal 1/3, middle third, and the distal third. He also includes junctions of these 1/3, that is proximal and mid third junction, mid third and distal third junction. Okay, and this is proximal, middle, and distal third, and he has given letter J for where the fracture has extended into the joint. This is topographically. Morphologically, he has given it as whether based on the number of butterflies or a wedges. If there is no butterfly fragment, it is a simple fracture with a whether the simple fracture is a transverse or oblique or a spiral fracture, T and S. And if there is one or two butterfly fragments, he give it as intermediate fracture. If there are more than 3 butterfly fragments or there is a combination, he gave it as a complex fracture. Okay, this is Garnow's classification. We'll again go to the clinical X-ray. See how now what type of classification is according to Garnow's. Here there is no butterflies, and first we go for topographically, whether it is proximal third, mid third, or distal third. It is in the proximal, but it's also in the middle, so he will give it as a proximal mid junction. So the part is proximal middle junction. How is the fracture? Whether there are any butterflies? No, there is no butterfly fragment, so this is a simple fracture. So in simple fracture, whether this is a transverse or oblique or spiral fracture, so this is a simple transverse fracture. So according to Garnow's, this is a proximal mid junction fracture with a simple transverse fracture with no butterflies. Okay, this is how you classify according to Garnow's. So here completes our shaft fractures. Thank you friends. Please like, share and subscribe to my Asan. It helps me in creating more videos. We'll discuss the distal humerus in the next video. Thank you.